My son was in the ICU after a car accident. When Mom called, "Tomorrow's your sister's birthday. You need to plan the party." I sighed. "I can't right now." She snapped, "Don't show up and I'll cut you off." I hung up and deleted her number. At the party, my son woke up and whispered, "Mom, Grandma's making everything hurt more." Rachel kept checking her phone, even though she knew it wouldn't make Dylan wake up faster. The ICU at Phoenix General had this weird smell, like cleaning supplies mixed with fear and stale coffee. Dylan looked so small in that hospital bed, all these tubes and wires making him seem more like a science experiment than her kid. She'd been here since Tuesday night when the cops called. Some idiot ran a red light on McDowell, slammed right into the crosswalk where Dylan was walking home from soccer practice. 3 days now of watching machines breathe for him, counting beeps, memorizing the pattern of his heartbeat on that green screen. Her phone buzzed, and she almost threw it across the room when she saw Mom's name. Of course Linda would call now. Had this sixth sense for the worst possible timing. "Rachel, honey, I know you're dealing with all this, but we really need to discuss tomorrow." Tomorrow? Rachel's brain felt like mush. What was tomorrow? Brittany's birthday party, sweetheart. The big 3. Oh, we've got the whole thing planned at Romano's, and you know how your sister gets about her parties. Oh, right. The birthday party. Rachel had completely blanked on it, which probably made her a terrible sister. But hello, her kid was unconscious. "Mom, I can't even think about parties right now. Dylan hasn't opened his eyes since Tuesday." "I understand you're stressed, but the restaurant is booked, the cake is ordered. Everyone's expecting you to handle the decorations like always." Like always. Yeah, because Rachel was apparently the family event coordinator, even when her world was falling apart. She touched Dylan's hand, still too cold, still too limp. "I'm not leaving the hospital." "Rachel, be practical. The doctor said he's stable, right? You can't just abandon your responsibilities because of an accident." An accident. Like Dylan's head injury was just some minor inconvenience messing up Linda's perfect family photo opportunity. Rachel felt something snap inside her chest, like a rubber band stretched too far. "I'm not abandoning anything. I'm staying with my son. If you don't show up tomorrow, don't expect me to keep paying part of your rent. I'm serious, Rachel. I've helped you long enough." The line went dead. Rachel stared at her phone, heart pounding. 28 years of this crap. 28 years of Linda turning every crisis into something about her, making love feel like extortion. Rachel's hands were shaking as she scrolled to Linda's contact info. "Delete?" the phone asked, all innocent. She hesitated for maybe 3 seconds, then tapped yes. Gone. Just like that. Linda's number vanished into digital nowhere, and Rachel felt this weird mix of terror and relief. She'd just nuked her financial safety net, but sitting here watching Dylan fight for his life, she realized some things were more expensive than money. The night nurse, Maria, brought her coffee around midnight. Hospital coffee tasted like someone burned cardboard and called it a beverage, but Rachel drank it anyway. "Any changes?" Maria asked, doing her checks. "Nothing, but that's normal after head trauma, right?" "Every kid's different, honey. But his numbers look good. Kids bounce back faster than we think." Rachel nodded, settling back into that awful vinyl chair. She'd probably sleep here for the rest of her life if that's what it took. Morning brought Brittany's inevitable guilt trip. Rachel almost ignored the call, but her sister had this way of making silence worse than conversation. "Rachel, Mom told me what you said. I cannot believe you're doing this to me on my birthday. Dylan's in intensive care." "I know, and that's awful, truly. But this party has been planned for months. Mom already spent $800 on catering. You know she'll take it out on all of us if you don't show." Classic Brittany. Always worried about keeping Mom happy, never questioning whether Mom's demands made any sense. She'd been Linda's golden child since birth. Married the right guy, had babies on schedule, lived the approved life plan. Have your party. Hope it's everything you dreamed of. You're being selfish. Mom's right. You use Dylan as an excuse for everything. Rachel hung up, then turned off her phone completely, and buried it in her purse under old receipts and lip balm. The silence felt amazing. Around noon, Linda showed up like a bad rash. Rachel heard her in the hallway, arguing with the nurses about visiting hours, using that voice she got when people didn't immediately bow to her authority. She swept into the room wearing her special occasion dress, the burgundy one she saved for church and family drama. Makeup perfect, hair sprayed into submission. Rachel Marie, we need to have words. Keep it down. This is a hospital. Don't you tell me to keep it down. I've been planning this party for 3 months. Your sister is devastated. The whole family's asking where you are. Rachel stood up slowly, putting herself between Linda and Dylan's bed. Something protective and fierce rose up in her chest. Tell them I'm exactly where I belong. This is ridiculous. Dylan's sleeping. He won't even know if you're here. The words hit Rachel like a slap. Get out. What did you just say to me? I said get out. Now. Linda's face went through about 5 different shades of red. How dare you? After everything I've done for you, all the help I've given you, this is how you thank me. Yeah, Mom, this is exactly how I thank you. By staying with my unconscious child instead of arranging party favors. You've always been ungrateful. Even as a little girl, you were difficult. Your father used to say you were born stubborn. Dad left because of you. He left because living with you was impossible. The words hung there like smoke. Linda's mouth opened and closed like a fish. For maybe the first time ever, her mother was actually speechless. I want you to leave, and I don't want you coming back. You'll regret this. When Dylan wakes up asking for his grandmother, when you can't make rent, when you realize how completely alone you are, you'll regret every word. Linda spun around and marched out, heels clicking like a countdown timer. Rachel collapsed back into her chair, adrenaline making everything shake. Her hands, her knees, even her voice when she whispered, "Good riddance," to the empty doorway. For the first time in days, the room felt peaceful. The afternoon dragged by like a slow-motion movie. Rachel tried reading some magazine someone had left behind, celebrity gossip that felt completely insane given everything, but her mind kept replaying the morning's explosion. She'd probably just torched her entire family, burned bridges she could never rebuild. But sitting here holding Dylan's hand while machines kept track of his breathing, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Peace, like she'd been holding her breath for decades and could finally exhale. Dr. Martinez stopped by during evening rounds. This calm guy who never seemed rushed even though he was probably seeing 50 patients a day. Still sleeping, but his brain activity looks good. Sometimes after trauma like this, kids just need time to find their way back to the surface. How much time? Could be hours, could be a week. But Rachel, when he wakes up, he's going to be fine. When, not if. Rachel held onto that word like a life preserver. Night shift meant different nurses, quieter hallways, that weird hospital hush that made everything feel suspended in time. Rachel dozed in her chair, jerking awake every time Dylan's monitors changed rhythm, or when someone walked past with squeaky shoes. Around 3 a.m., she thought she saw his eyelids flutter, sat up instantly, watching his face like a hawk, but he settled back into deep sleep, leaving her wide awake and hyper-alert. Her brain kept circling back to Linda's threats. The rent money was real. Her library job barely covered groceries and Dylan's soccer fees. Without Mom's monthly contributions, they'd probably have to move, maybe leave Phoenix entirely. But you know what? Sitting in this dim room, watching her son fight his way back to consciousness, Rachel realized she'd rather start over somewhere new than keep living under Linda's emotional dictatorship. The decision felt clean, like stepping out of a burning building. Dawn brought fresh nurses, and Dr. Martinez making his rounds. Rachel had managed maybe 2 hours of actual sleep, but she felt strangely wired, like her body was running on pure determination and hospital coffee. Any dreams? The doctor asked, checking Dylan's pupils with his little flashlight. Dreams? Kids in Dylan's situation often have vivid dreams while they're unconscious, their brains processing trauma, trying to make sense of what happened. Sometimes they remember pieces when they wake up. Rachel nodded, filing that away. She'd been so focused on Dylan's physical recovery, she hadn't thought about the emotional aftermath. An 8-year-old had experienced something terrifying. He'd need help dealing with it. Her phone showed 17 missed calls from Linda and 6 from Brittany. She deleted all the voicemails without listening. Maria brought breakfast, eggs that tasted like rubber and toast that could double as cardboard, but Rachel ate every bite. She needed fuel for whatever came next. Around 10, Dylan's fingers moved against her palm. Rachel was reading some gossip rag about celebrity divorces, surreal stuff when your kid's fighting for his life, when she felt that tiny twitch. "Dylan? Baby, can you hear me?" His eyelids fluttered, more purposeful this time. Rachel jabbed the call button, heart hammering. "Mom!" His voice sounded like sandpaper, all rough from the breathing tubes. "I'm here, sweetheart. Right here." Dylan's eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first, then finding her face. "My head really hurts." "I know. You were in an accident, but you're going to be okay. The doctors are taking great care of you." Maria appeared in the doorway, saw Dylan's open eyes, and broke into this huge grin. "Well, hey there, sleepyhead. How you feeling?" Dylan looked confused, overwhelmed by all the strange equipment and smells, but his grip on Rachel's hand was strong, and his eyes were clear and alert. Rachel wanted to cry from pure relief. Dr. Martinez showed up within minutes, running Dylan through a bunch of tests. "Follow my finger. Squeeze my hands. What's your name? What's your favorite subject in school?" "Dylan James Porter. Math, I guess. And science." "Who's this lady?" The doctor pointed at Rachel. "That's my mom. She stayed with me the whole time, right?" Rachel's throat got tight. "Yeah, baby. The whole time. All the tests came back good. No brain damage, motor functions normal, speech clear. Dylan would need a few more days of observation, but the outlook was excellent." "Can I have some juice?" Dylan asked, and Rachel almost lost it at how perfectly ordinary the request was. While Maria helped him sip apple juice through a straw, Rachel's phone buzzed with another call from Linda. She glanced at it, then deliberately flipped the phone face down on the windowsill. "Who keeps calling?" Dylan asked, noticing the buzzing. "Nobody important." And for the first time, Rachel really meant it. The next few hours were a blur of medical stuff. More tests, social worker visits, insurance paperwork that made her head spin. Dylan slept on and off, still recovering, but each time he woke up he seemed more like himself. Rachel called her boss at the library, explained the situation. Mrs. Chen was cool about it, said take all the time she needed. Small mercies. By evening, Dylan was awake enough for real conversation. He remembered fragments of the accident, leaving soccer practice, crossing the street, seeing the car coming too fast. But he didn't seem traumatized, just curious about what had happened to him. "Mom, how come Grandma Linda didn't visit me?" The question hit like a punch to the gut. Rachel had been dreading this moment, trying to figure out how to explain adult dysfunction to an 8-year-old. "Grandma's been busy with other stuff." Dylan studied her face with that weird kid intuition. "She was mean to you, wasn't she?" Rachel felt tears prick behind her eyes. "What makes you think that?" "You always get sad after she calls. And you get that worried look, like when bills come in the mail." 8 years old, and he'd been watching everything, understanding more than she'd realized. Rachel wondered how much of Linda's toxicity had filtered down to Dylan despite all her efforts to shield him. "Sometimes grown-ups have complicated relationships, kiddo. Grandma Linda and I don't always see eye to eye." "About what?" Rachel picked her words carefully. "Like whether I should stay here with you or go to Aunt Brittany's birthday party." Dylan's eyes got wide. "She wanted you to leave while I was hurt? She thought the party was more important." Dylan went quiet for a minute, processing. Then he said something that stopped Rachel's heart. "Mom, I think Grandma Linda makes everything hurt worse." The simple truth of it just hung there between them. This kid had put into words what Rachel had been feeling for years but couldn't name. Linda didn't just create problems, she took existing pain and amplified it, turned manageable stuff into disasters. "You're absolutely right," Rachel said quietly. "She does make things hurt worse." So we don't have to see her anymore? Asked with such hopeful innocence that Rachel almost laughed. Kids saw simple solutions where adults saw complicated messes. To Dylan, the answer was obvious. If someone hurts you, stop hanging around them. No, we don't have to see her anymore. Dylan smiled, the first real smile since the accident. Good. I like it better when it's just us. Rachel leaned down and kissed his forehead, careful of the bandages. I like it better when it's just us two. Her phone buzzed again. This time, instead of ignoring it, Rachel picked it up and blocked Linda's number completely. Then she blocked Brittany's number too, for good measure. Dylan watched her do it. Feel better? Yeah, actually. I do. He grinned and closed his eyes, drifting back to sleep with a peaceful expression Rachel hadn't seen in years. 2 days later, they were packing to go home. Dylan was cleared for discharge with instructions for rest and follow-up appointments. Rachel gathered their stuff, her overnight bag, get-well cards from Dylan's classmates, a stuffed dinosaur the night nurses had given him. Ready to blow this popsicle stand? She asked. Yeah, but, Mom, what about the rent thing? Rachel paused. What do you know about rent? I heard you talking to Grandma Linda sometimes. She helped pay for our apartment, right? Another reminder that kids absorb way more than parents think. Rachel sat on the edge of his bed, deciding on honesty. We might have to move somewhere smaller, maybe even a different city. Would that be okay? Dylan thought about it seriously. As long as we're together, and as long as Grandma Linda doesn't know our new address. Rachel burst out laughing. Deal. They shook on it, and Rachel felt lighter than she had in years. 3 weeks later, Rachel quit her job at Phoenix Public Library and took a position at a small college in Flagstaff. Better pay, lower cost of living, and most importantly, 2 hours away from Linda's drama radius. Dylan was psyched about moving. He helped pack boxes, excited about snow in winter and actual trees instead of desert. They found a cute rental house near his new school, with a landlord who didn't require family references or cosigners. Their last night in Phoenix, Rachel tucked Dylan into bed surrounded by cardboard boxes and packing tape. You sad about leaving? She asked. A little, but I'm more excited about starting fresh. Starting fresh. Rachel had been thinking of their move as running away, but Dylan saw it as running towards something better. Maybe 8-year-olds understood new beginnings better than adults. Me too, kiddo. Me too. She kissed him goodnight and turned off the lights, feeling hopeful for the first time in forever. 6 months later, a letter showed up from their old address. Linda's handwriting on fancy stationery, probably bought specifically for guilt trip correspondence. Rachel held it for about 10 seconds, then dropped it in the kitchen trash without opening it. Dylan was outside building a snow fort with the neighbor kids. His laughter carried through the windows, bright and uncomplicated. He'd made friends easily, was doing great in his new school, never once asked about Linda or Brittany. Rachel's life was smaller now, but infinitely more peaceful. No more phone calls demanding explanations. No family obligations disguised as love. No constant anxiety about managing someone else's emotions. She'd learned to budget carefully, found her groove in the new job, discovered that independence was worth way more than financial security. That evening, helping Dylan with homework at their kitchen table, he looked up from his math problems. Mom, I'm glad we moved here. Yeah? How come? Because now when you smile, it goes all the way to your eyes. Rachel realized he was right. For the first time in years, she was genuinely, completely happy. And it had nothing to do with anyone else's approval.